Hey everyone, it's Miss Mac here with another short video. This time, our second lesson in exponents. Our video will be about zero and negative exponents. We have two learning objectives for today. Our first learning objective is that we will be able to apply the zero exponent rule to an expression in exponential form. And our second objective is that we will be able to apply the negative exponent rule to an expression in exponential form. So first, let's consider this table, which shows our powers of 2, so that we can try to identify a pattern. We have 2 to the 5th power, which is 32. 2 to the 4th power is 16. 2 to the 3rd power is 8. 2 to the 2nd power is 4. And 2 to the 1st power is 2. So let's ask ourselves, what pattern do we notice as we move down this table? What could we say, or what operation could we say that we are doing as we move down this table? Well, I notice that if I take 32 and cut that in half, or divide by 2, I get the number 16. And 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So as I move down my powers of 2, I am dividing by 2. And this makes sense because each exponent, each time I add an exponent, I am multiplying another time by 2. So if I'm going in the opposite way, I am dividing by 2. Let's use that same logic to illustrate what happens when we have 2 to the 0 power. Well, he said each time we went down this the table, we were dividing by 2. So let's do this one final time. 2 divided by 2 is 1, because anything divided by itself is just the whole number 1. Do you think this would be true for any number raised to the 0 power? Well, it turns out that it is true. Any number raised to the 0 power is 1, because that would always mean that we were dividing that number by itself. Let's continue to extend that logic to see what happens when we continue to divide by our number 2, our base 2. So we said 2 to the 0 power is 1. What happens if I divide one more time by 2? Well, 1 divided by 2 is just the fraction 1/2. So I'm left with 1/2. What happens if I divided by 2 one more time? Well, that would be 1/2 divided by 2. And 1/2 divided by 2 is 1/4. Okay. Then we would divide by 2 one more time. So now we have 1/4 divided by 2, and that is 1/8. And you can probably see the pattern that's starting to emerge. If we divide by 2 one more time, we would have 1/16. And if we divided by 2 a final time, we would have 1/32. So this table is looking really similar to the first table we looked at, except I noticed that instead of having these whole numbers, now we have these numbers in the denominator. So we have 1 over the positive versions of those exponents. So here's the rule that we can say when we have a negative exponent. A negative exponent tells us how many times to divide by the base. So this makes sense because division is the opposite of multiplication. When we had a positive exponent, it told us how many times to multiply the base. Now we have a negative exponent, and it tells us how many times to divide the base. But you'll notice that a negative exponent did not create a negative number. So this is an important thing to keep in mind. as we continue to use negative exponents in this unit. Negative exponents do not mean that we will have negative numbers. It just means that we will have numbers that are smaller than 1. All right, everyone, if you still have questions, go ahead and watch that video one more time. And if you're really struggling, go ahead and send Miss Mack an email. If you like this video, hit the like button on your way out. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.